The sea was calm that morning, too calm, the kind of silence that makes seasoned warriors uneasy. Along the frozen shores of the north longships rested like sleeping beasts. Their wooden hulls bore scars from distant coasts, Francia, Northumbria, Saxon lands. Each mark was a memory of blood, fire, and gold. The men aboard them were not farmers. They were not traders. They were Vikings. And this day was different. Not because they expected defeat, but because they expected glory or death. For years, the kings of the south believed the Northmen were nothing more than raiders. Savage, disorganized, driven only by hunger and greed. They believed walls and armies could stop them. They were wrong. What they did not understand was that the Vikings were not united by a crown but by something far more dangerous. Belief. Belief in fate. Belief in honor. Belief that dying with a weapon in hand was not an end, but a beginning. The war that followed would not simply redraw borders. It would break illusions. The battle began before the first sword was raised. It began in the mind. As the sun rose, shields were lifted from the sides of the ships painted red, black, and gold. Symbols of gods older than churches, older than kings. Odin, Thor, Tyr. The horns sounded low and slow, not a charge, a warning. Across the field the enemy formed ranks, armored, disciplined, confident. Banners fluttered in the wind, bearing the symbols of a kingdom that believed itself eternal. They had numbers, they had fortifications, they had certainty. What they did not have was the understanding of what they were about to face. The Vikings advanced not in chaos, but in silence. Boots crushed frost-covered grass. Breath rose like smoke. No battle cries. No rage, only focus. This was not madness. This was intention. The first clash shattered the illusion of control. Axes met shields with bone-cracking force. Spears punched through mail. Swords screamed as they struck iron and flesh alike. The sound was deafening, wood splintering, metal bending, men screaming prayers to gods that would not answer. Viking warriors did not fight to survive. They fought to be remembered. A man struck down an enemy twice his size, then fell moments later with a blade through his side, smiling not in pain, in satisfaction. Because fear had no place here, behind the front lines, the real strategy unfolded. The Vikings did not push where the enemy was strongest. They pulled, feigned retreat, drew soldiers out of formation, created gaps where discipline failed and instinct took over, and once order broke, it never returned. The battlefield became a storm. Mud mixed with blood. Snow turned red beneath countless feet. Horses screamed as they fell, dragging men into chaos. Orders were lost, banners dropped, and the Vikings pressed forward, not as individuals, but as a force shaped by war itself. This was not a battle for land alone. It was a message. The North would not be contained. As the hours passed, exhaustion claimed both sides. Arms trembled, vision blurred, every breath burned. Yet the Vikings advanced, still wounded, bleeding, unstoppable. They sang as they fought. Low, haunting chants carried across the field, echoing like voices from another world. Songs of fallen brothers. Songs of gods who watched with hungry eyes. To the enemy it sounded like madness. To the Vikings, it was purpose. When the final lines collapsed, there was no victory cry. Only silence. Smoke drifted over the field. Bodies lay broken beneath shattered shields. Ravens circled above, patient and knowing. The Vikings did not celebrate. They honored the dead, both theirs and their enemies. Because war, to them, was sacred. The survivors returned to their ships not as conquerors, but as witnesses to something greater than victory. They had proven a truth that would echo for centuries, that walls fall, crowns break, empires fade, but a people who fear neither death nor gods cannot be ruled. This battle would be remembered not for the land it claimed, but for the fear it planted. From that day on, kings prayed not for victory, but that the sails of the North would never appear on their horizon. And even now, centuries later, when the wind howls across cold seas and old shores, some say you can still hear it. The sound of oars striking water. The sound of a world realizing it is not safe.